Today's guest is Melanie Herschorn. She helps advise wealth experts, lawyers, and professional people how to promote their signature books and create them, because many of us have an amazing idea and a signature book in our brain, but we haven't written them and we haven't promoted them. So I'm super excited to chat with her today. I'm going to bring you up, Melanie. It don't work. Okay.
Yay!
Hi.
Hi! It worked! Hooray!
Yes, good to see you.
You as well. Yay!
Thank you. I'm looking at your picture on LinkedIn because I loved your you gave me your bio, but I loved your title on LinkedIn. So I want to read it. Helping attorneys, wealth experts, and seven-figure business owners. I almost said men, I almost said women, but like it's not just women. You help everybody. Business owners write, publish, and promote their signature books. It continues, increase income, influence, and impact with your book. Independent publisher and book marketing, and she's also a keynote speaker. You are crushing it, Melanie.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here and to see your beautiful face in person.
Yeah,
So, well,
I
in
know. We
person, live.
this is literally like the new in person, because I was saying before, I had a different we had a different live and I was recording, but we met through a mutual contact, and then we did a connection call offline, but it was so good. I was like, I need to bring you on the show so we could actually get this conversation in front of people, because I feel like so many people have, I know I have a book idea. I have a signature book in my brain. I just haven't got it out yet and haven't promoted it. So everyone needs to hear this.
I absolutely agree. And not saying that every single person in the world should write a book, but definitely people who have a book idea in them and they know that this book can really help grow their brand. That's kind of the sweet spot.
How did you get into book publishing?
It was so not linear. I started in PR in Hollywood. Then I became a journalist. Then I had a baby and realized I wouldn't get paid very much as a journalist. So I had an idea to design and manufacture breastfeeding clothing. And so I built that business up, sold my clothes on Nordstrom.com, on Amazon. And then in like year 7, I hired somebody to help me with my marketing, and it was a really bad hire.
Hmm.
She was toxic. She belittled me every day, and she helped me close the business basically.
Oh,
And then it was a tough time. So then I kind of regrouped and went, well, how can I really serve people? And I realized that, the through line of my career has always been elevating people's voices and helping them amplify what makes them special. And books is such a natural outgrowth of that,
yeah.
because a book is something tangible that you can then leverage to make lots of money and to get lots of visibility and build up your reputation. And but the book itself, is just a book. If you don't have that marketing piece attached, it's like a car with no gas. It just sits there.
So it says you're an independent book publisher too. So
Mhm.
what does that mean? You don't just help people create their ideas, you actually publish the book for them. Wow.
Exactly. So yeah, so it's basically the whole thing. We help you write, publish, and promote the book, and it's done in 12 months or less.
Okay. So I bet going from creating baby clothes to getting here was not such a straight line and not super easy. So can you talk a little bit about that transition and what made you take the leap of faith and going in that complete different direction?
So the PR and the journalism really inform what I do today, and that the nursing clothes, that kind of was my jump into entrepreneurship. Totally left field, Googled everything, had no connections, didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that I trusted myself enough to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I think that having the background working with celebrities, having a journalism background in radio, newspaper, and TV, that's the storytelling. That's the communication piece that has never left. And then the book piece, it kind of was an outgrowth of entrepreneurship
Yeah.
because a lot of entrepreneurs have books and or they want to write them because they know that that's going to help differentiate them from the competition.
Yeah, I want to talk about that. Like, in today's world, why is it important for people to write books? Why, what about a book versus a live or video content or a podcast even? What's the benefit of lawyers and coaches to writing books?
So I'm not going to say don't go live and I'm not going to say don't go on podcasts or don't have your own. Absolutely. But a book is something tangible.
Yeah. So when you're live, you have your book.
Exactly. But not only that, I mean, you can't send a live video to someone, have them put it on their nightstand
Yeah.
and check it out. In a live video, not knocking what we're doing right now, but in a live video, you can't really get to know somebody. You can't read about their past, discover about their past and understand how they help clients and give them client transformations and stuff like that. So it's really about that trust, building the trust factor that helps you get new clients when you send them a book.
I love that. So I love that you said that because I think it gets missed in today's digital world. I don't think a lot of people don't read. A lot of people are not physically like picking up a book, but a lot of people are also desperate for, I wish I could sit down and read a book. So even if you get the book, are there other ways to utilize the book with like audiobook or yeah, okay.
And they may never crack it open. Let's be honest.
It's true. I mean, I have like my bookshelf here. I actually did read a lot of them, but like, because I'm a book nerd, but I have friends that are like, oh, I'm never going to read. So I'm like, okay, there's an audiobook. There's,
Exactly.
there's videos that go along with it. But what about like the book then that is so important for, for lawyers? And I want to talk about lawyers specifically because like a lot of lawyers watch this, but like, I don't think they're thinking about marketing and PR. So
Right. And even though my LinkedIn bio says, oh, all these people, I generally do work with attorneys because I think that attorneys are brilliant people and they have a specific niche. And if they were able to put their expertise and their client transformations into a book, that is the greatest marketing you could possibly ever have. It becomes a marketing machine.
So what do you say to lawyers that are too busy or don't feel like they have enough to say?
Right. Okay. We all feel that way. We're all too busy and we all don't have enough to say. But the truth is, when you have somebody guiding you and getting the book published and the marketing accomplished, it makes it so much easier. And if not now, when will you do it?
Yeah,
It's like deciding to have a child. There's never a
there's
good
not.
time, but everybody does it if they want
So it's
to.
funny because Nehal just joined. Hey Nehal, and even Manu. I don't know if he's still on here, but my friends Manu, I know their stories, and they're when we think of lawyers, we think of, oh, you're just really good. Oh, Francesca's an IP lawyer, so all she should talk about is IP, and she must be a really good IP lawyer. But it's like, I'm also a mom. I also have gone through like incredible, crazy stuff in my life and have, overcome. And we're way more dynamic and multifaceted. And that's actually the piece that I love about like what I do is because I get to build these relationships with people and know like who they are, not just in the context of like working. It's funny because like I work with Manu and I also, we use Nehal's software. So I know them on a professional level, but like, if there were something like a book or an outlet that they could use to broadcast, and sorry, I'm like totally putting them on the spot. But it's like I'm just using like my friends as examples. Like they're really cool, interesting people. And I think that the idea of a book or some sort of equivalent where they can have their signature story
Mhm.
is, it's almost like every single lawyer should be doing this, but I don't think we think about our jobs that way when everything is sales. Like whether you work at it, you have your own company or you're an outside counsel or even in-house, like you're constantly marketing yourself and your brand and expressing that brand to the people you interact with. So I think it's interesting.
And if you had a book as opposed to a business card, you become a lot
Yeah,
more memorable.
I like that.
A lot more memorable.
Yeah. So
And
how
that's
do
what you want, right? You want to differentiate yourself from all the other IP attorneys out there. So how do you do that? It's because whoever you are unique and special, and you have your own secret sauce that sprinkle on to your work.
So for people who are like, oh, this is too hard, I don't see the value, or um, let's not say they don't see the value. They want to write a book, but they just don't know where to start. Like, what's your advice to them?
Well, having an outline is the first thing, and that's what I do when I sit down with clients. We look at the outline of their business. Maybe you have a sales script that answers questions that people ask, and that's the foundation of your book. We want to go with the low-hanging fruit first.
Yeah.
What are you constantly repeating to people that you could put in a book and save yourself some time and potentially get over that initial consultation hump because they already know the answers. They already know they like you. They already know what makes you special. It's like that thing when you go on Google, you type in divorce attorney, and I'm in Phoenix, divorce attorney Phoenix. So a whole bunch of things come up. How do you know?
Yeah.
A lot of people just click on the top one, whether it's sponsored or not. They just click on the top one. That's what the stats say. But what if you could send books out ahead of time? What if you could be speaking on stages and podcasts? By leveraging your book, you get to do that stuff. So you're getting out in front of people even before they're searching for you.
It's fantastic. Um, so how do people get started? What's like, so they write an
Mm-hmm.
outline, like maybe I want to ask like a really tailored question.
Okay.
So let's say they have an idea and they have the outline, like what does it take to actually sit down and write the book? Like how long? What does that look
So
like?
everybody's different. I'm the kind of person, I will go to Starbucks on a Saturday and I will sit for 4 hours and I will bang out 3 chapters. I'm currently writing a book. So
Right.
speaking from experience, I did this on Saturday. And then there are people who, if we get you on a set schedule where it's 30 minutes a day and that's all you're doing, 30 minutes a day, you can build it in. Or maybe it's after hours, from after dinner, from 7 to 7:30, you sit down and you work on one thing. And the thing about a book is you don't necessarily have to write it in order. Um, you can break it. We
Yeah.
break it up by topics, right? So if you say, okay, well, I'm going to write about a particular client that, and of course we change names and stuff like that because obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm going to write a particular story today, so that you have that story written, you like the way it flows, maybe you've written page and a half about it, and then you move on to the next piece. And then we put it together so that it flows. So you're not have to sit there slogging through, well, I'm going to start with the introduction. That's not, when I worked in newspapers, I never started with a headline. That's the
Yeah.
last thing you put on a newspaper article.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah. Because it's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of thinking. Like, sorry, I had another idea come in because that's where I would get stuck. I would get stuck with the title. I would say, well, what's the title? What's the headline? So I love that tip.
Yeah.
But then I'm also thinking about the audience. And so I think with lawyers, what's interesting is most lawyers, okay, it's funny, they won't write books. Oh, but law articles and lengthy legal analysis and memos, like that's what we do. Like we write, or we're
Yeah.
writers. So it's so funny to think about that like no one's writing material that like it's almost, I always think about like, well, who are you writing these law, like I've written law articles and I'm like, who's reading these, like who is it for, is it
Right.
just to show off that, oh look what I said. So what do you think about that like irony almost of like lawyers being writers but then not taking the time to like sit and write a book that's either for the masses or for their like intended audience, you know what I'm saying, like
Yes, I think you're right. I think I'm here to change that, and you can help me because it's true. I mean, take what if you took the blog posts that you wrote, you took the articles that you wrote, and those fed the foundation of your book.
yeah.
Then you have something that is, I said it again before, I'll say it again, it is tangible. It is something that you can show off and give to people. And that makes such a difference in, being a thought leader, being a credible lawyer with a reputation that precedes you.
I love it. I know now I'm like I have to write my please. It's been sitting there.
And that's the thing. You're not alone, I promise. But when you make that decision and you say, all right, well, I realize there's never going to be a good time to do it, so I'm going to start.
Yeah,
And when you partner with somebody who has done this before and has a system, it makes it so much easier. Because if you were to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to write a book on my own time, type, type, type. I mean, you're going
it's
to end
true.
up with what? And my training as a journalist taught me how to speak faster and shorter. Get out what you want to say in a lot less time.
Yes.
And that's how I conduct my life too, which is what's the point? Right. See, exactly. Otherwise, you wouldn't be such a great interviewer because you'd be asking a
No,
question that
people ask me to do like, oh, the podcast an hour long. I'm like, no, no, I need 10 minutes. I'll give you 5-10 minutes, and I got what I can give to you.
it's
Like, you don't need an hour. What are we talking about in an hour?
exactly. So imagine if you could take all those things and distill them down into, I don't know, 110, 115
Yeah,
pages. That's all this book is. That's
that's
it. Has a
great.
spine and all the things, but it has all the meat that I want to take and share with potential clients. And not only that, it then feeds all your marketing. So you don't have to think again. It's there to be repurposed.
I love that. I love that. So like if you wrote your book, you could take your book, you can give it to, it depends on like how what your staffing is, but even if you don't have like marketing people, you can give it to an intern or an associate to like help create additional content based off of that, and that drives it. And then anytime you go to speak, you use the outline as the book. It's great. This is great. This is why I wanted to have this conversation with you. I hope everyone listening and watching the recording too finds this helpful. So for people who like have an idea and actually like they wanna go forward, like they want to get someone to help. Um, like how do you work with people? Do you work with them as a ghostwriter? Do you help them? Like what do you do when you work with the attorneys?
So it is from writing, publishing through promotion of the book.
Wow.
And you are writing the book. If you want a ghostwriter, I know some great ones. That could be, a good ghostwriter could be anywhere from 7,000 to six
Mhm.
figures. Uh, I really say you have the power to write the
Yeah.
book. We already said you're writers. You know the stuff. And sometimes when people have somebody else do something on their behalf, they feel a disconnect. And let me tell you, you have to feel attached to your book and you have to feel proud of
It's
it.
true. True.
That it's You
It's like
want
an extension of you. You can give
exactly
people like an extension of you. Yeah.
right, and it's a confidence booster too when you say, "Wow, look at that! I published that. I wrote that book. My name is on the cover." No one can ever take that away from you.
It's so special. It's so true. Oh,
So we help with, so we guide you in the writing process. We do all the interior, the editing, the cover, the layout, and then we publish it on your behalf under your own imprint so that you own everything. For example, you could create the DBA, the trademark attorney media, and that is how it is published. It is under
mm-hmm.
your publishing imprint. And then we have a whole marketing system that we show you how to do. We create a strategy for you. We do a bestseller campaign on Amazon so that we can really get some more traction for your book and get some reviews and all that stuff. We do a podcast tour. We'll help you get a podcast tour. We get a press release out to the media. And we're showing you that beyond the launch, here is how to leverage the book for years to come.
I love this. It's just, there's so many moving pieces with it
Yeah.
that I like that. Like, thank you for doing this. With social media now being so important, like I see it. I see a lot of lawyers getting stuck thinking, oh, social media is not for me. And I'm just going to keep going to networking events and I'm going to wait for the phone to ring and I'm just going to like do everything referral based. But like we're in a different world where maybe reels isn't your thing, but maybe a book is. I actually see that as like the easiest transition to a more modern outlet, because if you can write the book and you can then use it to promote online and go on podcasts, that's like a great way to transition. So I do these to talk about concepts and things that like lawyers are struggling with. Like it's a different world. The world that we were in 10 years ago, like marketing is just completely different. And I want to help bridge the gap for a lot of lawyers who, they're like, oh, Francesca, you're so good with social media, you're all over this and that. And it's like, well, when I ask them what are they doing, they're not doing any of it. And I think a lot of it is this the fear of the unknown and the discomfort of putting yourself out there. But if we can do something that's really easy, and a book is pretty traditional, but use it in more modern ways, that's going to make a huge difference for our industry and for the people who
100%. Yeah,
are
100%.
marketing
And
services.
even if they're still like, oh, I don't want to see my face on Instagram Reels, for example, they can still take this book to the networking event.
Yes. But you should still get your
And that
face on Reels too.
100%, 100%. But that book, again, it's the confidence piece, right?
It's
Because
like a transition piece.
it
Like,
is.
yeah, like here's this thing, and then yeah, it's great. I'm so glad I had you on the show. What's the best way that people can connect and reach out to you?
Sure. Well, you can just get on my calendar. It's meetmelanie.vip.
Ooh, that's so easy. I love it. And if you are watching this live, you can click the little arrow at the top and follow Melanie. Make sure you definitely follow Melanie. Her account is Big Impact Books, and get on the phone and have a call with her. It's great. I'm really glad. I'm happy. And I also I hope this is helpful for anyone, that it's not just like law firms to get business. Like we're in a new world where we are a brand, and I had no choice. I had to use these things and figure them out, but it's changed my life. Like I get to connect with people on a different way than had I just work, 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 go to networking event, work, work, work. Like the amount of people that I've been able to reach through my content. And so I think the book is just like the ultimate way to position yourself as an expert and connect with the digital world. I love it. It's great. So I hope a lot of people follow you and reach out.
Thank you. I appreciate this so much because what you're doing is so important. You're showing other attorneys, hey, this is what's possible for you when you put your mind to something. Because it's like you said, 10 years ago, people weren't doing this. Reels didn't really exist. And here you are showing off your beautiful self on, on all the socials and helping people by sharing your amazing content. So cheers to you for that.
Thank you, thank you. Yeah, I think that's key. Is like even like with the book or whatever you're doing, like you have to think how to add value, how to give and give and give. Like I've real that's the secret. It's not just what can I get and who can get. Like it's so obvious. It's quid pro quo. I don't do it. I'm not. It's not my thing. And the quid pro quo people will that's very transactional people will they will find each other, but it never lasts. Like transformational relationships, like how can I help you, giving giving giving, it's the secret to everything. So I love the idea of the book because it's like you, especially as lawyers, like the information's gate kept and it's really expensive. So if you could take hours and hours, it's like $1 million book in something and give it to people for free, like that's tremendous value. I like it. It's
Absolutely.
great.
And you can give people all the strategies in the world, but they're still going to need to hire you to make them happen.
Yeah, it's true. And if the people, yeah, it's amazing. Like I've been thinking about abundance a lot, and since starting my business, it really comes down to that. You can't live in fear or lack, like, oh, what if I put this out there, then they're not going to hire me. That's simply not the case. And the people who were going to buy the book and just do it themselves, they weren't going to hire you anyway. So it's a good way to like just filter out those people.
Absolutely. And get a book out in the process. Get
Yeah.
that $8 in royalty sales on Amazon.
Oh, I love it. Melanie, thank you so much. This was so great. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you
Appreciate it.
so much.
Thank you. And thanks everyone. This was Legal Limelight. We're here every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and we will see you all next week. Thank you. Bye.